Cam, thank you so much for joining us today, mate. I know you're busy as. How have you been?
Yeah, I've been excellent, man. Yeah, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Oh man, I know like coming back from overseas, you've been on the go and I'm struggling to get you tied down. But before we even touch about your pro debut, I want you to tell me about your experience on your national show that you actually got awarded your pro card.
Oh, the national show. Yeah, that was a bit of a whirlwind too because that came very unexpected. So that was just I don't even I don't even know how to explain it because I didn't really at the time know what was going on around me because like I was just trying to just get down there and take out the under 80s title, and then next minute I found myself winning the state show in Queensland, and then going down there and winning the nationals and getting the pro card down there. So that was just all unexpected, and yeah, I couldn't have been happy with the result. But yeah, it was just a
Bro,
bit of a
I was blown
whirlwind,
away.
So yeah,
Like I'm an under 80 competitor myself, and I've come so many times close to winning nationals. But then to have a girl win the under 80s and win the overall and get their pro card, and to be honest, man, I've heard a lot of like discrepancies because it was like kind of a one of the earlier shows post COVID, etc., and everyone had their say. But when you actually look at you up on stage, bro, there was no denying it. Like you definitely
yeah,
warranted that. So going
yeah.
from an under 80 kilogram guy prepping for your pro debut. What was that like?
That was still a bit like uncertain whether I like actually belonged up there. Like I was confident that I'd made huge improvements. I think it ended up being like I think close to or just about 10 kilos heavier
How long
on
did that
stage.
take you?
That was over a 2.5 year
Oh, there
process.
you
So,
go.
you average that like that. That works out to be pretty standard. No one's making these big jumps like they say they are.
I
That's
agree.
that's 10 kilos over 2.5 years. So that roughly ends up being like what 10 pounds a year, which is what most of the pros or anyone making progress overseas is doing. So
And
um,
watching you through the actual 2 year process, because we've seen you at the gym and catch up, man,
mm.
you always kept it pretty tight. Like, I don't think I've ever seen you without abs.
Yeah, I didn't. Well, I did push up there to around about just over 100 for a little bit. That was a bit uncomfortable and a little bit sloppy for what I like, but yeah, I don't have the biggest appetite, so off season for me is much harder to get the food in. So
Okay.
yeah, I don't tend to get too fat.
And do you find that is also that from an appetite perspective, or is it that you just kind of enjoy the lifestyle as well? So you're always staying within your parameters?
Yeah, like no one wants to get fat and sloppy. Like everyone wants to look good, but it's definitely like being able to push the food to like new levels that I definitely struggle. That's probably one of the biggest limiting factors for me.
Well, the one question I wanted to ask, which I've been dying to, you see a lot of people nowadays, and I've met like young people. I call them young because from inexperience point of view, and some people they haven't even competed before, and they're going into a competition, and the first thing they say is like, "I want to get that pro card."
Hmm.
And for me, that goes from like 0 to 100. And I do believe there is a difference between being a pro athlete or just an athlete.
Yeah,
But one of the things that plays a role into that is your experience. So
yeah.
obviously, as a pro, you have limited shows that you can do. And prior to you actually getting your pro card, how many shows had you done
Um, well, that was my when I won my pro card. That was my second season competing, like second time dieting for a show.
for a show? So that's not
Yeah,
much at all with someone with your level of experience. But
yeah,
what people don't realize is you've actually been in this for many years before you even decided to
yeah. Well,
compete.
yeah. I've seen you around the gyms, and like we've seen each other, known each other for quite a long time, and I've always trained. So
And you've always looked the part and you've always
yeah,
been analytical. So I think that's one thing people don't realize. Like it's your second season, but it's all those years of the groundwork that you did before you even got up on stage.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's not like I've just done my second show and won my pro card type thing.
Exactly. And
Yeah,
when I see you, especially when I saw you on
yeah.
stage with the other pros, bro, you actually look like you've got a lot of stage experience. How did you pull
Oh
that
yeah, I
off?
appreciate that. That was a lot of practice, a lot of actually like internal self talk as well to like make sure that I presented myself confidently. Like didn't go up there and look like I was out of place. Like I spent a lot of
No,
time
not at all.
practicing and being like trying to make sure that I was projecting a bit of confidence on stage. And that was like Tampa, I was like that was still a bit rusty at Tampa, but in Texas I felt like I was like belonged up there because I was after doing the the first
That's
show,
right.
and then
Yeah.
yeah, then Texas I felt a lot more like I belonged up there,
Man, I know you and
and
your
that
coach,
just projects more confidence as well. So
and I guess because you've got the first one under the belt, because even though you've
yeah,
competed before, you've never really traveled internationally for a competition. This would have been the first time.
yeah, that was my first time, and that experience was just
Man,
epic. That was I loved every minute of it.
it's like it's amazing what bodybuilding can bring us, right? It takes us around the
Yeah,
world. Like most of my travels
yeah,
has been because of competing. But I
yeah,
also want to touch on your coach Dean, which I've known for many years, and I call him behind his back the mad scientist. The
yeah,
dude's
yeah,
knowledge is like next level, right? And he has a
yeah,
particular way of doing things, but he's so structured. And the one thing
yeah,
that all these athletes comment about is what an asset he was when it came down to international travel.
yeah, yeah. Oh, dude, he had like this is the length he went to. Like he actually mapped out like the times we're going to be on each plane, the crossovers in time zones. He had have a meal here, have a meal here, sleep this time, pack this extra food just in case you get stuck. Like he had the whole trip planned over to America planned out for us. So like
Basically,
there
looking
was
at
no
your water,
excuses.
everything. So when you're on that
Yeah,
plane, you have your
everything.
setup plan to the detail, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah,
And the way he pulls that off with you, it's because he has prior knowledge of how your system works. Because I'm sure that everyone's
yeah.
got a different protocol.
Yeah, yeah. So I think I was running. We did like a high day before the show, just like a test load. I mean, not before the show, a high day before the plane, before the travel, and just a bit of a test load. So I was on just lows on the plane because I've never been on a plane for that long before in my life either. So we just
Wow.
kept my carbs a bit low to just not so we're not holding too much water when we get there and see how my body responds to travel.
How did you arrive when you landed? Did you deplete too much? How was the water?
I think I was pretty like might have been holding a little bit of fluid, looking a little bit fluidy, but nothing drastic. So
And
yeah,
the weight stayed about the same?
yeah, weight stayed about the same. Yeah,
Yeah, man, I did the trip once from Columbus after I did the Arnold straight down. Back in the day, it was FedEx. And I
yeah.
flew from Columbus down to FedEx, and they actually confiscated my meals from me. So they
Oh
gave
yeah,
me
yeah,
permission. I had all the letters from the doctors, everything else. But because we can't allow liquids on board, at the final
yeah,
entry, they had a spot check, I guess, and the security
yeah,
guard there just didn't care about any of the permissions. They pretty much confiscated my food. He wouldn't even let me. I was like, all right, you guys keep it and give it to me on the plane. They wouldn't have it.
yeah,
So I was pretty
yeah.
much just on glutamine, powdered greens, and water on my flight back. And I had a bit of powdered protein. And
Oh,
when
bro,
I
how many
landed,
hours was that?
bro, that was like close to a 16-hour trip
Yeah,
in total. And man,
yeah.
by the
That would
time
have
I
ruined
landed,
you. That would have ruined you.
Lokes had me eating close to like 3 kilos of rice in one day, and I just couldn't put any weight on.
Yeah,
And I was lean as. And that back then is when Aaron was competing in under 80s as well, and he just smashed everybody out the water. But I don't think people realize the importance that travel actually has
yeah,
and how that it can affect you. Like years and years of training up for your pro debut, and one flight can actually fuck the whole thing up for you.
yeah. Of course. That's why I made sure I wanted to be there. Like I think we were there like at least a week before the Tampa show
Yep.
because I just wanted that time to let my body adjust to obviously coming from winter to summer over there as well. It was stinking hot. So yeah, I wanted to give my body some time to adjust to the climate.
Mate, and how did you tell me about the family? How did you manage to pull that off after your pro card, then working towards the pro show? How did you manage to amalgamate your responsibilities as a father with your training and dieting?
Well, for one, just trying to be like super organized. So the more organized I am, the less messing around there is. So there's more time available to like be a dad, like be present when there can be because I'm like living by myself, working full time, got my son training, so just trying to be super organized and long days you get exhausted, but you just when you got a goal, that's just what you got to do.
So, would you argue that this was a quality you had before competing, or is this something that competing and sticking to a regiment actually taught you to be more disciplined?
It's 100% taught me to be way more disciplined. Yeah,
I think
yeah,
that's the one thing where a lot of people actually forget when, like, especially my age now, 48, people say, why do you still compete? I'm like, because it kind of, every time I compete, it brings my discipline levels back. It brings my structure
yeah.
back.
No, even now, like post show, if I get up and I don't have like a plan set out for the day, I'm like all over the place, and I don't like it.
Yeah,
Like I
it's
like to have I like to have like a structure of what's going on.
and explain to me why that's important to you. Is it because of the
Um,
anxiety of not having something to do, or is it because you like guided things? Because some people could
I think
argue
it.
that that's very rigid, but I'm a lot
Well,
like you.
I think it just bleeds into my personality type, and it can be a little bit OCD at times. Like to have things structured. So even like going into train now, like post show, I've had a bit of a plan set out what to do. Like not taking it super serious because we're going to do our off season next week. But if I go into the gym without without a training program, I'm like I don't like it. I don't enjoy like just go. Oh, what exercise do I feel like doing next? Oh, I'll do this bit of that. Like I don't know how people train like that.
Yeah,
So
it's
that
funny.
just
I'm a little bit
yeah,
opposite to you. Like personally, when I go to the
yep,
gym, I know I'm doing chest, I know what weak parts are, and I know two or three exercises I want to do, but then I
yep,
adapt it to the structure. But I think
yep,
that's because I used to be very rigid and structured. And then
yeah,
after a
yep,
while, it became like work. It felt like work. And
yeah, yeah,
and that's why for myself, I implemented more of a flow strategy to it. I have my
yep.
guidelines, so that works for me the older I get. Do you find that now when you go to the gym, what do you do to keep making it fun as opposed to I'm here working rather than I'm here enjoying myself?
Well, because we log all our lifts, like we have a progression scheme. So, like for me, I'm going in there challenging myself. So I'm looking at last week's performance and I'm trying to beat that. So it, I do like I love training. I love going there, but like the fun, I suppose
The fun
it's
comes
more
from the
like
challenging yourself, right?
it's more yeah. That's where the fun comes.
Yeah,
Yeah, where
I
it's like yeah,
agree.
but
Yeah.
it's like pretty much challenging myself every time I go on
And I think that's a very unique character trait, especially in today's society,
there.
because you find that a lot of people, that's the one thing they shy away from is they don't want to challenge
Yep,
themselves,
yep,
which is ironic because most people want to compete. So I'm going to
yeah.
throw a question just a little bit sidebar and see what your opinion is. What's your biggest pet peeve with most people in the industry now that are trying to jump onto stage and their frame of mind? What would you say is the one biggest common thing that you hear people say that actually triggers you?
I think the point you brought up before about how people say, "I want my pro card. I want to get my pro card." Like, I think they lack the love for training.
Yep.
Like, the pro card is the byproduct of the effort you put in the gym. You love the love for the sport, the love for training. Like, the pro card will come if you love it. If yeah,
Mate, and I think that's exactly what you just said there. One thing for me is exactly the same thing. And props to you. Like, we have a mutual friend, Solomon, Big Sol.
yep, yeah. I'm coaching him
So,
at the moment, so
yeah, and I've
yeah,
seen
yeah,
massive differences in him. Like, since he's been under your wing, there's a general
yeah,
difference in his physique.
yeah,
But more so than that, I've actually seen a massive difference in his attitude when it comes to training. He
yes,
seems more
yes,
structured, more disciplined. But honestly, it looks like he's always for a guy like that. I've always found it quite impressive how a big dude like that, who looks phenomenal just by natural genetics and hard work, he's always not been very confident with the way he looks.
yes.
But the more he's been working with you, the more confidence I see he has within himself. And he's not comparing himself to anybody else. He's just getting to know himself more.
Yeah, he's like the quiet achiever too. Like he doesn't put it out there much, but the dude, he's big.
And he's massive, man.
Yeah, yeah,
But I think this goes back to one thing that I've always liked. Like one thing that I've always respected about you is the way you carry yourself in the gym. You're one of the most humble guys I've seen. You're consistent with your training, but more so than that, you actually act like a professional. It doesn't matter when I've seen you, every single time, there's never been any negative energy. I've never heard you complain once. And I think this is the one thing that a lot of people that want to be professionals in the sport, but they still honestly, oh, I'm tired because of my diet. Oh, I've got to go to train. Oh, I've got to, they're always constantly complaining. And I'm like, if you want to be a professional athlete, there's a lot more to it than just ticking the boxes. There's the
yes, yeah,
attitude and
yeah,
the way you carry yourself.
yeah. And that's not like thing that I'm really like focused on doing. I think that's just me in general. Like I don't like to be too negative. I don't like to complain. I just don't see the benefit in it.
Well, isn't it strange that this is one of the few
Like you're not,
sports where people actually complain about it? Professional tennis players, soccer players, Formula One drivers, they've got to do hard training, hard dieting, but you never hear
yeah,
them complaining about that.
yeah. Like oh, my coach has got me on low calories, low carbs. Man, you want to get in shape or not? Like this
And
is the game you're in. So
isn't it like, as a coach yourself, I mean, isn't it ironic that even your
yeah,
general pop, 9 times out of 10,
yeah,
they're on low-cal diets anyways.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
you're not the only person who's on a low-cal diet. The average Joe usually is unawares, right?
yeah.
But I think that's the determination, which is like getting something done, no matter if you feel like it or not. So how has this impacted you as a father when it comes to bringing your son up? What are the qualities that this has taught you that will actually, you would like to be reflected with your boy?
Well, I hope that from what he learns is that he's like seen how like hard work can pay off because he sees me here day in day out, like you know, being like having a goal and focusing on it,
Yeah.
and now we're like kind of like achieving in it, you know. So he's like obviously watched me. He's known me like well, he's 10 now, so he's seen me over the years,
Yeah.
like always training, always eating right. Um, you know, like the amount of effort I put into this, and now he's starting to see it kind of pay off as well. So I'm
Yeah.
hoping he learns that.
And I think that's it because it's the way you've done it as well, right?
Mm.
You've done it
Yep,
with a very calm approach, directive approach, focused approach, and it hasn't come in with this negativity, complaining, etc., etc., etc.
yep, yep.
Does he is he keen on hitting the gym with you, or what's his interest?
Yeah, I've taken him down to the gym a few times, but he's right into like football and basketball at the moment. So I'd rather keep him doing that fun kid
What
stuff
he
at the moment.
what he enjoys, right?
But he does like ask questions, and he does want to come down sometimes, but I don't really encourage it. But I think it's kind of yeah, it's cool that he shows some interest in it.
Oh, yeah, my boy he's been
Yeah,
in the gym since he was like 6, but we do like circuit stuff and soccer stuff, and it became more of
yeah, yeah,
a father son thing. But over the years, he's actually found an affinity for the gym. And when I ask him about competition, he'd love to, but
yeah.
he's like, Dad, I'll get there when I get there, which I agree. I don't
Mm.
encourage it. To be honest, I don't think this is the type of sport for people that are weak minded from a self
Oh,
perception
definitely
point
not.
of view.
No way. No,
And most people want to
no.
compete because they want the accolades
Yep.
rather than competing because you want to challenge yourself. So, have you noticed your son putting himself in positions where he challenges his character subconsciously just by watching you?
Um, Pretty like on the football field, he'll get a bit like frustrated and stuff if he's missing tackles and stuff. So he's really put in some effort into like practicing that, and he actually the last game they had, he won the like best tackler of the game. So it's been something
Oh,
he's really been working on.
nice.
So yeah, that's
So
like yeah,
this stuff. This is what I love about this. It's the character it's not just the body you develop; it's the character you develop in the sport. And then when it
yeah,
transfers to your kid, he's puts works in and he's reaping the rewards of those tackles.
yeah, yeah.
Like, dude, that's awesome.
That's good to
Well,
see.
now you picked two of the most difficult shows.
Yeah. So I
Straight in
always
the
said
deep
like
end, right?
that's exactly I was just about to say I kind of wanted to like because after I won my pro card, um, I wanted to. I still had some doubts or some reservations as to whether I would be good enough to be like a top pro or like a pro, and whether I'd actually fit in or not. So I'm like, best way to see how you're going to fit in is to jump in the deep end and just go for it. So yeah, I was really happy with picking those two shows.
Did you have any hesitations on getting on stage the closer you got?
No, no, no,
You're
not at
fully
all.
committed.
Like yeah, yeah. From the get go, I was committed. So yeah, I knew what I wanted to do, and yeah, we just went for it.
I was having this discussion with Logs and Lee earlier before, and we were talking about how some guys are so close to the finish line, and then 2 or 3 days they jump off, and various reasons. One, because their diet hasn't been working, or they've been cheating on it, or some people think, "Oh, I just don't look good enough."
Yeah.
What do you
Um,
think is the biggest risk about doing something like that?
like pulling out,
Pulling
or
out the last minute, and I would argue mostly because you feel like you might not win a show.
well, then I'd be questioning your like the reasons why you're doing it. Obviously, like going into those shows, I wanted to win. I was training to win those shows, but that wasn't like the be all and end all. It was my pro debut. I wanted to just see where I landed. I wanted the top placing, and but I wasn't ever going to pull out because I felt like I wasn't going to win.
But yeah, I know Lokes
Yeah,
competed under Dean's tutelage as well and tore his
yeah,
calf just before getting on stage, and no one even knew. And he walked
yeah,
on stage and
yeah,
did a phenomenal showing. And the same thing with
yeah.
you, mate. So, have you ever had that sort of tendency where you've kind of like thought, should I pull out? And how do you get over it when you do start to think that way?
Oh, to be honest, I can't even really answer that question because I've never had that feeling before. Like I'm going to pull out of the show, or I'm not going to finish something I've started,
Nice.
unless I actually like injured myself to the point where I couldn't compete. Then I'd be pulling out. But I've never had that feeling at all.
And again, that to me is such a good quality because you're honoring the commitment you made, you know. And I think that's the one thing where a lot of people like. I notice they go, "Oh, I'm competing next year. I'm going to do season A, season C, whatever the case is." And a lot of it is not a commitment they're making to themselves. It's almost like a commitment they're making to other people.
Yep.
And I think if you let those other people down, not getting on stage, the biggest person you're letting down is yourself. And I think that sometimes
Yeah.
there's more harm than actually getting on stage and losing.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
Now, with your clients, have you ever had any clients that wanted to compete, but you just thought maybe it's best they hold off? Either they want to compete within the next 2 months, but you realize that they need more time to adjust their bodies. How do you handle
Yeah.
clients like that?
I've got one guy at the moment who wanted to do season A, but I think we're going to push that back to season B next year. Just because I thought I suggested we just need more time, and if they want to bring the best that they can possibly bring to the stage, I think we just need a little bit more time. It's not good to just rush into it. So, and the more
Yes.
time we have together, the more I'm going to learn about their bodies and see the trends, and it'll be a better result for them.
And they were perfectly fine with that.
Yeah, and then they were cool. They respect my judgment, and yeah, it was a very easy conversation to have.
I made a mistake once before. I had a young girl who was competing, and it was her first show. It was back then. It was a INBA, so ICN, and
Yep,
she had done close to about, I would say, 12 months of prep because there was a lot to fix prior. And
yep,
the closer we got to the show, and we had a discussion, and I had said the same thing to her. I was like, "Well, maybe we should wait another 6 months, and especially if you want to do a good showing." And she trusted my opinion. She loved it, and she sent me a progress picture. And I'm embarrassed to say it, but I myself forgot where she came from because I saw her regularly. I didn't
yep,
realize the extreme transfer that she had made with herself. And when I
yep,
spoke to her, I said to her, "Well, look, in all honesty, you look phenomenal. You look good enough to be on stage. So it's up to you." And she chose to compete. She came, I think, second last or third last. But
yep,
she loved every minute of it. And in fact, that fed her enthusiasm for the following comp, which she ended up winning.
yep,
So I always find there's that little bit of struggle of like, why are they really competing? What is it for? I know for myself, the first time on stage was just to take ownership of my tube. I felt like if I can
yep,
be on stage naked with the tube showing, that's me being confident in myself, win or lose. And that developed into a passion for the sport. So,
yep.
do you find that you're getting clients that are more structured about trying to challenge themselves, or most people wanting to compete just for the accolades of competition?
Well, I've only got a few guys. I've got two guys competing season A next year, and then one guy doing season B for now. So most of my clients are Gen Pop for the moment, and but yeah, like what you said there too. Like I think it's good to also like know what the client's expectations are with that girl. So like she may not be interested in trying to bring the absolute best package to stage possible, but her goal was just to make it there, and that ignited a flame in there. So
Yeah, and I
I think
think
it's good. Yeah,
there's that gray area, right, where you want to make it on
yeah,
stage, but you want to make sure you belong on stage.
yeah, yeah.
Because
So yeah,
unfortunately,
that's
I
why.
have seen people get on stage where you kind of like, you would have been better off not even getting on stage.
Yeah, I mean, it's client expectations, I guess. You know, as long as they're aware of the situation, then I suppose it's up to them what they want to do with it.
Do you think that the popularity and obviously the financial drive that some of these federations have hurts the sport?
Um, no, I think the popularity is only going to draw more people to the sport, which is good for everyone. More money, more more money coming into the sport, which means the athletes are going to get more out of it. Um, I think the popularity like of bodybuilding and stuff on Instagram, I think maybe can drive people to compete for the wrong reasons. I'm not
Mhm.
really on board with that, but I think yeah, the more exposure the sports get, the better.
And what's your take on these multiple divisions?
As in, like,
For men,
what's
it's not so bad, but like I know with women, you got bikini, you got figure, you've got wellness, and each one has a different look. Same as with classic physique and bodybuilding, they all have different looks. And obviously, they're opening it more to more people. But then you've also got
yeah,
within those divisions, you've got the first timers, the novice, the opens. What's your take on that?
yeah, yeah. I think there's a spot for everyone, and yeah, I quite like all the divisions. I don't think there's any division that should be canned or shouldn't be there. So I think in the current spot it is in, I think everything's warranted.
No, I agree completely because
Yeah,
we're all
yeah,
different shapes and sizes.
yeah,
And we all think that a different look is more aesthetic. Some people like big looks, some
yeah,
people like more aesthetic looks. Everyone has their own
yeah,
taste.
yeah.
And what are your thoughts when it comes to coaching somebody to bring their best physique? So, one thing, and correct me if I'm wrong, but since knowing you, the one thing I've noticed, you've always just tried to be the best version of you. You've never tried to chase a certain look to beat anybody or anything else.
Yeah. I think it's just really assessing and being honest with yourself and what you look like, and not trying to be anyone else or not trying to be Chris Bumstead because you're not going to be Chris Bumstead. You know, you got to bring out the positives or like work on your own strong points.
I'm a firm believer there because
Mm.
there is amazing athletes that look phenomenal. I mean, Ronnie
Yeah,
Coleman, I'm a big fan, but me personally, I wouldn't like to be that big. This is my
yeah.
personal choice.
No, no worries, no worries.
Um, but I don't. That doesn't take anything away from his phenomenal physique. But there are guys out
Yeah,
there that are just chasing somebody else's look as opposed to chasing their fullest potential.
yeah, yeah. And I think like I do have a vision of what I would like to look like or where I don't want my physique to go. Um, but yeah, like you can only work with what you've got, and I think yeah, you need to be honest with yourself in where you belong.
Now, talking about that and working with what you have, did you do any special work? I mean, obviously you did some, but is there anyone that you saw with regards to presenting your physique the way you did?
Um, no, like some of my favorite guys, I suppose like Dexter Jackson or like Sean Roden. I would love to pose like Sean Roden. I would love
Yeah.
to look like Sean Roden, but that's not my physique. So you know, like you pretty much we just work with. So I work with Dean for most of my posing, and it's just about presenting your body in its best way possible.
But there's an
So,
elegance to your presentation.
well, that's just posing practice and like trying to have a bit of finesse or trying to not just be too rigid out there. Yeah,
I personally, when I look at someone like with your muscular structure and size, I mean, it's huge, it's intimidating. So when people go to this really aggressive posing, it kind of takes the softer side away. So,
yeah.
mate, take this the right way. But when I watch you pose, it's actually beautiful to watch. And I use that word specifically,
Oh,
as
I
opposed to like
appreciate that.
someone saying that,
Yeah,
like, oh, he's got an impressive physique. So I
yeah.
do think that the presentation and especially your routines can actually make people appreciate the flexibility that a structured physique like that actually has in its presentation.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it because, like, yeah, I definitely don't go for that aggressive type of posing or that, um, yeah, that style. So yeah, I do like. I actually think bodybuilding is beautiful as well. So, um, yeah, that means a lot. Thank you.
So when you do the presentations, I know this is going to sound a little weird, but I've noticed guys that have like these posing routines that are really aggressive, heavy metal music, which I do enjoy, they tend to train very much the same way. When I've watched you train, there's this intense focus and everything seems to be calm, structured. It's almost like rather than saying it's the uh, animal in you, it's almost like the Buddha in you.
Yeah, yeah, okay, yeah. I
How
see where you're
did you
going. I can
develop
get
that?
behind
How
that.
did you develop that like foundation of a mindset, just focus, not rushing the reps, not building up, just keeping your emotions intact through every rep, every set?
Yeah, like I do like to really train in a controlled manner. Like I will push to failure and beyond it if I've got someone there with me, but it'll always be in a controlled manner. So that's just always the way I've trained. I've never really trained recklessly, and it's served me pretty well actually.
Is that something that you did before working with Dean? Because, or is that something that Dean's actually incorporated into his planning?
A bit of both, but yeah, I've never been that reckless like Branch Warren style trainer. Huh?
Yeah, because I do believe
Yeah,
there's a difference between
yeah.
moving the weight and moving the muscle.
Yeah. I mean, I will. It won't be like, let's say, it won't be strict like for the whole set, but the majority of the set, I like to keep locked in and train to failure, and then a little bit of body English maybe for the last couple of reps. I don't mind a bit of that, but yeah, it'll be pretty strict for the most part.
And now talking about training, what was it like training in the States?
Oh man, it was phenomenal. Like it was probably one of the yeah, it was amazing. Like way far exceeded any of my expectations from going up to go over there.
What was your favorite gym?
Destination Dallas for sure. Yeah,
What made it so good compared to the others?
just just how welcoming you felt there. You know, you walk in the door there, like you don't know anyone there, but you just feel so at home and like welcomed and like everything. They're just so accommodating and like it felt like home. You know, it felt like you've been trained there for years. You know, you don't feel awkward at
Nice.
all. Yeah,
And did they have music playing or was it no music?
yeah, it had music playing. Yeah,
When I walked
yeah.
into Gold's in Venice, in LA, Gold's Gym in LA, it was really surreal because when I went there to check it out, there was no music playing. And I was like, oh, this is pretty
All right.
strange. And it's such a big gym with a little bit of nooks and it goes out quite a while, but there was zero music. And
Yeah,
at first it felt strange, but after a while I quite enjoyed it because you could hear the murmur of people, but you can hear the weights clanging. And I guess you
yeah,
put your headphones on, it's nice. But I spoke to Charles Glass and Dexter Jackson, so you can actually have a conversation. And I was like,
yeah. Sometimes
what?
they're blasting the music in these places, and you can't really talk to anyone. So that's cool.
And some of it's not even my type of music, so it drives me nuts,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, but I
So
like the sound of the metal weights clanging and banging too. That's cool. I like that.
man, I love training in the States, and I found like they've got a larger variety of equipment no matter which gym I went to. Do you think
Yeah,
Australia
they
is catching up to that?
mm, not really. No, like the equipment over there is just next level. Like you don't
Next level.
really, or especially in Brisbane or Queensland, like you don't really have places where you can go that have all that like all the prime equipment, all the Nautilus stuff, like old school, new school, like anything you can think of, they've got over there. So we're definitely limited in Australia.
I find here it seems to be very commercialized.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's kind of what sells, though. Really, like, there's not many bodybuilders or many people who are like serious athletes. So I think like if you're in a gym and you're trying to make money, well, then you're just going to get like the most commercial stuff, the cheapest stuff you can get, really.
Yeah, and this is where I had a discussion with my son because we were talking about public pools and swimming, and Australia has the world's best swimmers. But yet,
Yeah,
when you go to some of these training stadiums, they've got top-notch equipment. Obviously, they've got a pool,
mm-hmm.
but then they've got the recovery center and all these facilities. But I
Mm.
also find that that's one thing that hurts us for professional bodybuilders that want to make a name for themselves overseas. It's a lot harder for you to get to pro shows. If you live in the States, it's much easier.
Especially I think like yeah, equipment wise and community wise. Like there isn't a very like tight knit community of bodybuilders who all support each other and are uplifting towards each other. You don't really get that much in Australia.
I find you get it with powerlifters though.
Yeah, they do have their communities. Yeah,
I think that's one thing why I admire about them is they all compete with each other, but they want to compete with the best versions of each other. And there's this honest thing,
yep,
like when I lose, I want you to perform at your best. And I do think this is one thing that's lacking in Australian bodybuilders. But I
yeah.
do find the
Especially
old
like
school boys tend to have it.
yeah, especially going overseas and seeing how they all interact with one another and how like willing they are to help you over there. Like it's just a different vibe to Australia.
How do they react to an Australian?
Well, they're quite intrigued at the start because you're novel, you're going
Yeah.
over there, so they're quite nice and ask you a bunch of questions and stuff. So yeah, like you're like the novelty over there. So,
Mate, and you came back with a sponsorship by Ghost.
yeah, but
Wow.
so
Dude,
I'm
like
so
that in
stoked about
itself
that,
is
man.
like
Like
next
yeah,
level, bro. Like that was
it's
my
like
favorite thing. I was like, bro,
yeah,
win or lose a show, he's got a gospel sponsorship. I wish that was me.
yeah, like I can't believe that came about, man. That was
How did
I'm
that come
still like
about?
well we went to Destination Dallas like the first time I trained there, and I just saw MJ there, Michael Johansson, and
Yeah,
I just went because I knew who he was because I follow a lot of the Gasp stuff and the
yeah.
YouTube channel and everything, so I know who everyone is over there, and just went and introduced myself, said hello to him, and just chatting for a bit, and then next minute where he's dragging me into the office, showing me around, like you can use this, there's a microwave here, there's a desk here, you can do some work here if you want to, like.
Wow,
It was
bro.
just like the guy is he's incredible. He's just so nice, so welcoming, accommodating,
Literally
everything.
just
So
opened his house to you, essentially.
yeah, literally like yeah, and I met him for like 10 minutes. So
Wow. Made testament to you and your
so
character too.
so yeah, and then on the last day we were there, he just put it out there. He's like, hey, we like set it up. So um
Mate,
yeah,
that
I mean
that
there's other stories I could tell you too. Like he invited us around to his house for like a personal dinner that was cooked by these two chefs from I think one from Norway and one from Sweden that he because they had an
wow.
event there on the yeah they had an event there on the weekend we were there, and he flew them in to cater for the event that was going on all weekend. So we had like a personal dinner at his house, and he's incredible. So.
Mate, that must have been like that would have been one of the highlights of the trip for sure.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, we were sitting in someone's backyard in Texas. It's stinking hot. Like at a backyard table eating this like 5-star 6-course like dinner. It was you're like pinching. It's like what's going on here?
All you can eat almost, eh? Just feeding bodybuilders, I guess. What's
Yeah,
Texas like?
Texas. It's a cool vibe there, man. Like it's very um like everyone's just nice. I just found everyone just to be so nice. Like, yeah,
I've heard great things about it. I've also heard that
yeah,
Texas is a little bit different from the rest of the country. My father's been to
yeah,
Texas, but he reckons the
yeah,
people there are life loving and very direct and have a
yeah, yeah,
wonderful sense of humor. Did you find that?
yeah, yeah, definitely, yeah, yeah, very direct. Yeah. And there's no messing about there. Like no messing about there. So
It's just like, get it done. No bitching, no
yeah,
complaining. This is what's
yeah,
expected. This is what you'll do.
yeah,
End of story. No excuses.
yeah, yeah.
Moving forward, what's in the books for you?
So I've just had my blood test done on Monday. Everything's come back very well there. So we're gonna I think start an off season next week. So I've been chatting with Dean. He's put the plan together. So he's pretty much mapped out. This is like he's mapped out my whole year already, leading up until the show because the plan is to do Tampa and Texas again next year.
Wow.
So he's like, I've pretty much got my whole year mapped out already. Like the the blocks that we're going to push up in size, the maintenance phase, another block to push up in size, and then prep. So like, I already know what the next 12 months is going to look like.
So it's literally like a professional athlete. There's no break. There's straight on to the next thing, hey?
Yeah, and I'm excited. Like I've definitely feel a lot more like I suppose confidence and belief in myself now. Whereas I didn't have the belief or confidence before, but now it's like I've seen myself up there.
Yep.
So now I've got a bit more drive.
It's more tangible now. It's real now.
Yeah, yeah, it feels a lot real. Yeah, more real now. So
I think also being in Australia, being so separated from the rest of the bodybuilding community in the world, until you're actually there, then it becomes something tangible that you've done it, and now it's set you. Did you have newfound motivation for next year?
oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, definitely. Like I'm gonna be not that I wasn't locked in last time, but there's always another, like my last off season. There's always another level you can go to, to be like more focused.
And are you
And
looking at staying within the 212s?
yeah, well, I was 86 kilos, and I
Jeez.
think that the cap for that is like 90, 95, 96 for 212. So yeah, I'll definitely be
So
staying in
you've got,
212.
yeah, so you've got, mate, I honestly, like, I would not have guessed that you were that weight on stage based on your pictures. I would have at least given you almost 10 kilos over that.
Yeah, so we've got a ton of room to move in that division. So yeah, I won't be going anywhere else.
But you don't look, you look a lot heavier
Yeah,
than what you just told me.
yeah. Well, too, like I'm 91 kilos now. So but I think if I was to push up to that, like on stage around 95, 96, I think my body would actually start looking a bit worse. I don't think I need to put on like that much size. I think if I can get another 5 to 6 kilos on, it'd be a pretty
Structured.
good look before I think like, your waist might start getting a bit too big, or you might just start looking, not having that aesthetic look anymore.
A little bit too blocky, too
Yeah,
slim down.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, like also with our height as well. It's one I weighed 100 once before, and honestly, I look like the Michelin Man
yeah.
because
It's comfortable.
I'm so tall, right? Like I'm the tallest of the short.
Yeah,
So
how
like
tall are
this,
you? Are you
look
like
at
5'7"? Are you
oh,
5'7"?
bro, if maybe a little bit less, 171.
Yeah, I think I'm around like 5'5", maybe 5.5. I'm not sure,
Yeah,
like
I
five
think you
six,
got
five
me a
seven.
little bit on height there, bro. That's why I let my hair grow a little bit more, just so
Oh,
I can like
really?
give it a little. When I'm walking with Solomon, I could almost hold his hand like he was my dad.
Yeah, yeah, he's tall.
This tall ass. So ruffling some feathers, bro. Who's
Yeah,
Australia's
that's the
best
plan.
212?
Best 212. Oh, it'd be Aaron Pilates for sure. Yeah,
Yeah, you wouldn't throw yourself
yeah.
in the mix there.
Not until I stand next to him, or not until I do something that's you know achieved more than he's achieved. Yeah, for now he's number one.
I like that, mate. Honestly, I've known Aaron for years, and just watching him improve over the years has been phenomenal. Still one of
Yep,
the highlights is that I got to stand on stage next to him in the under 80s. He was the only
yep.
guy in the division that looked like he was 100 on stage. And I've watched him evolve throughout the years, and his physique just keeps improving and he keeps growing. But there are two different looks between you and him as well.
Yeah, like a lot of people try and throw out some comparisons and stuff between us, but there isn't really a comparison to be made. Like we're just two completely different bodies, so like you can't really.
I love them. I
I
love
don't
them.
see the point in making a comparison there. They're two
Until you
completely
stand
different
next to
things.
each other, right?
Yeah, like yeah, we'll stand next to each other on stage
A
and see what it
hundred
looks like
percent.
then, but you
And
can't
this is
really make that comparison.
on a personal level. Aaron knows I have the utmost respect for him as well.
Mm.
But aesthetically, because of my body structure and shape, I'm more aligned to your type of look.
Yeah,
But that again is my personal opinion. Where
yeah,
somebody else, and rightly so, would give Aaron's shape and body more of a certain type of look. So I guess at the end of the day, even if you have two athletes that are just the same size, same conditioning level, but have different structures, it's the sport that's left up to the eye of the beholder, right?
yeah. It just depends on what they like on that day, or what the judges decide is a better look. So.
Were you expecting to stand next to Aaron now in your comps? Because I know he went overseas as well.
Was I
Uh,
expecting to?
yeah, did you guys do different shows, didn't you?
No, yeah, he did different shows. So he did the shows more towards the start of the year. I think he did the New York Pro, and I think he was going to do the Toronto Pro as well, but that didn't pan
Didn't do
out for
it
him.
to
But
pan out for him.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and I also know he's had his fair share of hiccups the last couple of years. So I want to
yeah.
focus that onto you. What about life's? turmoils. How do you manage that? Is there any big event that you would like to share with the audience about something that was happening during your prep or your preparation for the overseas that could have thrown you off tilt? And if there was, what did
Um,
you do to stay on track?
there was a bit of a transition from working full time as an electrician to switching over to online coaching, which that actually worked a lot in my favor. Um, Being able to just bring those overall stress levels down of trying to maintain a job and trying to bodybuild at the same time. It's just the physical demand on your body. Like it just because that's all I've known. I've done two full preps, trying to work full time as well, and I think so. That's all I've really known how to prep like while working. So I don't think I realized the toll that was taking on my body and the amount of stress that was causing me. So I think I switched over about 8 weeks out, and I just felt so much better. My body just responded so much better. I was just in a lot more of a calmer state.
I can imagine that would have come with a little bit with unsurety and nervousness as
Yeah,
well. How did you
there
manage
was a bit
that?
of well, I just had to act on that pretty quickly and start getting some systems in place and start and developing a new routine because I've worked for so long. So it's like worked a full time job, like getting up at 6 in the morning to be at work at 6:30. I've done that for like 15 years. So it's just making sure you get up in the morning with a purpose rather than thinking you have all this free time to waste.
And how do you manage the negative self speak when it comes to bills and finances? And you're like, shit, I need more money. Or I'm struggling with this. How do you switch your mind from worrying about the negative stuff to then focusing on the positive things?
Um, I've never really been one to be short on paying bills or never really had to experience that type of stressor, I guess. So um, just being organized. Yeah,
Structured.
yeah, structured and organized.
Because there's obviously a very common thing amongst bodybuilders is the finances because training takes so much time. Plus, it's very costly with the supplementation and food and gym
Yeah,
memberships and coaching prices.
yeah. Well,
So it does take a toil, but most
yeah,
bodybuilders end up losing a job or even having to sell a car. But you've managed to
yeah,
just stick them, just follow the plan, right? Whether you're in the gym or
yeah,
out the gym.
yeah. Pretty much. And I'm just really lucky to have good sponsors as well. Like just not having to spend money on supplements every month. That adds up
It
all year.
does.
So like it's yeah.
But what
People just
people
like
don't
you
realize,
shouldn't.
it's something that
Yeah,
you worked for, though, right? It wasn't just given to you.
yeah, yeah. And you're not entitled to that either. So you really have to be grateful that you get that. Yeah.
Mate, why? Look, thank you. I won't take up too much more of your time. That was an awesome brief chat. I definitely want to get you on for some more
Yeah.
in a couple of months to see how you're going with the off season.
Man, I'd love to anytime.
But before we go, let me know if someone wants to get in touch with you for lifestyle coaching or even comp prep, how would they do that?
Pretty much the easiest way is there's a link in my bio on Instagram, and there's a link there for a free consult call if you want to, have a chat, see what the coaching is entail, what's going to entail, and yeah, there's a link there too for see what the coaching packages are.
Nice.
That's the
And
easiest way. Or you can just literally just shoot me a DM. I got time for everyone, so yeah,
fantastic.
either way, yeah,
Direct DM. And tell us a
yeah.
bit about the sponsors that you currently have.
Well, yeah, I'm sponsored. My first sponsor was Power Subs, which they've been with me for years now. So
Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
big shout out to them. Primabolics, they're amazing as well. They're
Is
bringing
Mike
out a
Galley
whole
still with them as well?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, Mick's
legend.
yeah,
Five times
Mick's
the
an
trade.
awesome guy. Yeah,
Yeah, he's next
and
level.
yeah, they just got a whole new line of proteins coming out. I think I've got a few here. They're really good. So I think they're launching next week, and yeah, now Gasp, which is yeah,
And if
unreal.
people wanted to like look at getting some more gasp apparel, I'm asking for a friend. How would they go about doing that? Is it through the American website or?
Yeah, you just got to just go on the American website, and yeah, I've got a code CAM you can use on there if you want to get a discount. And they run a bunch of sales all the time too, because I know with the Australian conversion rates and stuff, it can be a bit expensive. So um, yeah, just look out for their sales, and you can just use my code and check out as well, and that'll get you a bit more of a discount. So
And your code will be
Yeah,
on your
I'd
bio.
love to. Yeah, my code's on my bio. Yeah, just code
Awesome.
Cam, and it'd be cool to see some more people rocking some gas around here. Like it's OG bodybuilding brand, right?
Bro, no, 100%. And what people don't realize, it looks cool, but it's super comfortable,
Yeah.
man.
Oh
Like,
man, yeah.
I've got
The
GOSP
shirts are
shirts that
so
I've had for
comfy.
over 10
Yeah,
years.
yeah,
Next
yeah. The
level.
quality is top notch. Yeah.
No, next level. Well, bro, thank you so much for today, bro. I really appreciate it, man.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on.
Fantastic. Thank you, brother.